50 motorcycles surrounded the alley where the boy lay dying. Noah Carter was 9 years old, barefoot in the snow, his lips blue, his heart barely beating. He'd given his only coat to a stranger's daughter and walked into a blizzard to die. Now the most dangerous biker gang in Minnesota was hunting him, not to hurt him, but to save the child who'd saved their president's little girl. Ghost dropped to his knees in the slush, cradling the frozen boy like something precious. "Don't you dare die on me, kid. Not after what you did. Not after you gave everything." Noah's eyes fluttered once. Then, nothing. Subscribe to our channel and follow Noah's journey to the very end. Comment your city below. Let's see how far this story of one coat and one brave boy can travel. Noah Carter had learned to be invisible by the age of 9. He moved through Jefferson Elementary like smoke slipping between crowds without touching anyone eating his free lunch in the corner of the cafeteria where the broken heater made everyone else avoid the spot. Cold didn't bother Noah anymore. Cold was just another thing to survive. "Hey, look who's still wearing that ugly coat." Noah didn't turn around. He knew that voice. Brandon Marsh, 12 years old, son of Mayor Richard Marsh and the undisputed king of Jefferson Elementary's cruelty. "You deaf garbage boy, I'm talking to you." Noah kept walking. Reacting meant engaging. Engaging meant attention. Attention meant pain. He'd learned that math the hard way during his first week at this school, back when his mother was still alive, back when he still thought adults would protect him if he just told the truth. "Whatever. You're not even worth it today." Brandon's crew laughed. Noah exhaled slowly, clutching his backpack straps tighter. Inside that backpack was everything he owned. A photo of his mother, a change of underwear, and 3 granola bars that Pastor Wright had slipped him yesterday. The coat on his back was worth more than all of it combined. Not in money. The coat was old-patched at both elbows, with fabric that didn't match the zipper stuck halfway most days. But it was the last thing Sarah Carter had given her son before the cancer took her 6 months ago. "You're going to need this baby," she'd whispered from the hospital bed, her hands so thin they looked like paper. "Minnesota winters don't play around. Promise me you'll wear it every day." "I promise, Mama." "And promise me you'll be kind, no matter what happens, no matter how hard things get. You stay kind, Noah. That's what makes us rich." He'd kept both promises. The dismissal bell rang at 3:15. Noah was always the last one out, waiting until the hallways cleared before making his way to the back exit. The route took him past the dumpsters, through the gap in the fence, and eventually to St. Michael's Church, 3 blocks away. The church basement had been his home since September, when his mother's boyfriend had thrown him out with nothing but the clothes on his back. "You're not my kid," Dale had said, already drunk at 2 in the afternoon. "Your mom's gone. I don't owe you nothing." Noah had spent 2 nights on the streets before Pastor Wright found him sleeping behind the church. The old man couldn't officially help without alerting Child Protective Services, and Noah had begged him not to call. "Please, sir. My mom was in foster care. She told me stories. I can't go there. I can't." Pastor Wright had hesitated, then opened the basement door. "Just until spring," he'd said. "Then we figure something out. You understand?" Noah understood. He understood that kindness was temporary, that safety was borrowed, and that the only person he could truly rely on was himself. Today, the back route was blocked. Noah saw them from 50 feet away, Brandon and his 2 friends, Marcus and Tyler, huddled near the dumpsters. They weren't looking at him. They were looking at something else, someone else, and laughing. "Give it back." The voice was high, young, frightened. A little girl's voice. Give what back? This? Brandon held something above his head, a pink backpack with cartoon unicorns on it. You want it? Go get it. He threw the backpack over the fence into the empty lot that backed up against the school property. The lot where homeless people sometimes slept. The lot that was locked after school hours. No, my daddy's gonna be so mad. Your daddy? Brandon laughed. What's he gonna do? Come to school in his minivan and complain to my father. My father's the mayor, Miller. Nobody cares about your daddy. Noah stopped walking. The little girl couldn't have been more than 6. She was wearing a pink dress, white tights, and a thin coat that was meant for mild weather, not the storm that was building on the horizon. Her blonde hair was in pigtails. Her eyes were filled with tears. Please, she whispered. My medicine's in there. I need it. Medicine. Noah's mother had needed medicine, too. Couldn't afford it most months. The hospital bills had eaten everything they had, and then some. Sarah Carter had died, owing $70,000 to people who didn't care that she was a single mom, working 2 jobs, didn't care that she was kind and gentle, and taught her son to see the best in everyone. Should have thought about that before you bumped into me at lunch, Brandon said. You got my shirt dirty. Now we're even. I said sorry. I said it like 10 times. Not good enough. Brandon grabbed the little girl's arm, started dragging her toward the back gate, the one that led to the empty lot. You know what? You're gonna go get your own backpack. Good luck climbing that fence in your little dress. No. Please, it's cold. Noah moved before he could stop himself. Leave her alone. The words came out quiet, but everyone heard them. Brandon turned, still gripping the little girl's arm, and his face split into a grin. Well, well, Garbage Boy speaks. What are you gonna do about it? I said leave her alone. She's just a little kid. And you're just a homeless freak who smells like church basement. Brandon released the girl, took a step toward Noah. You really want to do this, Carter, 3 against 1? Noah's heart was pounding. Every survival instinct screamed at him to run, to disappear, to be invisible, like he'd trained himself to be. But the little girl was crying now, really crying, and something his mother had said echoed in his head. You stay kind, Noah. That's what makes us rich. I'm not fighting you, Noah said, but I'm not letting you hurt her either. You're not letting me, Brandon laughed. That's hilarious. Boys, hold him. Marcus and Tyler moved fast. They grabbed Noah's arms, pinned them behind his back. Brandon stepped close, so close, Noah could smell the expensive lunch on his breath, the kind of lunch Noah had never tasted. Here's what's gonna happen, Garbage Boy. We're gonna put little Lily Miller in that lot, lock the gate, and let her figure it out. And you're gonna watch. And if you tell anyone, I'll make sure everyone knows you've been living in that church. CPS will have you in foster care by tomorrow. The threat hit Noah like a physical blow. Foster care. The system his mother had barely survived. The system that had broken so many kids she'd known. You wouldn't. Try me. Brandon turned back to the little girl, Lily, and grabbed her arm again. She screamed a high, desperate sound that cut through the winter air. Daddy? Daddy! Shut up! Brandon slapped his hand over her mouth. God, you're annoying. Marcus opened the gate. Noah struggled against Tyler's grip, but the older boy was stronger. He watched helplessly as Marcus unlocked the back gate, as Brandon dragged Lily through it, as the little girl's cries became muffled sobs. Then something unexpected happened. Lily bit Brandon's hand. Hard. Ow, you little... Brandon recoiled, shaking his hand. Blood welled from the teeth marks. You're dead, you hear me? You're dead. He shoved her through the gate. Lily stumbled, fell to her knees in the gravel. Brandon slammed the gate shut, and Marcus snapped the padlock closed. Good luck, Miller. Hope you don't freeze. The three boys started walking away. Tyler released Noah, shoving him to the ground. "Remember what I said, garbage boy. One word to anyone and you're done." Noah lay there in the slush, watching them leave, listening to Lily's sobs from the other side of the fence. The temperature was dropping fast. The sky had turned that particular shade of gray that meant serious snow. He had a choice to make. Noah stood at the fence, looking at the padlock. On the other side, Lily sat huddled against a concrete barrier, her thin coat pulled tight around her. She'd stopped crying, which was almost worse. She was just shaking now, that silent trembling that meant the cold was winning. "Hey," Noah called softly. "Lily, right?" She looked up. Her face was pale, her lips starting to show the faintest hint of blue. "I know you. You sit at the back of the cafeteria." "Yeah, I'm Noah." "I'm cold, Noah." The words were simple, stated without complaint or drama, just a fact. She was 6 years old, and she was cold, and she was stating it the way she might say the sky was gray. "I know. I'm gonna get you out, okay? The gate's locked." "I know." Noah looked around. The school was emptying fast, everyone rushing to their buses before the storm hit. No one was paying attention to the back lot. No one ever paid attention to the back lot. He found a rock, a good-sized one, and started hitting the padlock. Once, twice, 10 times. His hands went numb from the cold and the impact, but he kept swinging. On the 15th hit, something cracked. The lock didn't break, but the latch it was attached to did. Cheap metal rusted from years of Minnesota winters. Noah pulled the gate open and ran to Lily. "Come on, we gotta move." He helped her up. She was lighter than he expected, fragile in that way little kids were. Her hands were ice cold. "My backpack. Where is it?" Lily pointed to the far corner of the lot where Brandon had thrown it. It had landed in a puddle that was already icing over. Noah ran, grabbed it, ran back. The backpack was soaked, but maybe the medicine inside was okay. He didn't have time to check. "We need to get somewhere warm. The bus is gone." Noah looked toward the front of the school. The last bus was pulling away. The parking lot was nearly empty. A few teachers' cars remained, but the building was clearly shutting down. Okay, we'll walk. There's a gas station about a mile from here. They'll have a phone. You can call your dad." "I don't know his number. It was in my backpack, but the paper's all wet now." Noah's heart sank. "What about your mom?" "Don't have one. She died when I was a baby." Something in Noah's chest tightened. This little girl understood loss in a way most kids her age never would. Just like him. "Okay. It's okay. We'll figure it out." They started walking. The storm hit before they'd made it 3 blocks. Noah had seen Minnesota blizzards before, had survived them in the church basement, listening to the wind howl like something alive and angry, but he'd never been out in one. Not like this. The snow came sideways, driven by winds that cut through clothing like it wasn't there. Within minutes, visibility dropped to almost nothing. The temperature plummeted. Lily stopped walking. "Noah, I can't feel my legs." He looked at her. Really looked. Her lips were blue now, not a hint, but a fact. Her whole body was shaking so hard she could barely stand. That thin coat might as well have been tissue paper. Okay, we need to find shelter. There's a bus stop up ahead. It's got walls. We can... I'm so cold." She said it like an apology, like she was sorry for being human, for having a body that couldn't withstand a blizzard in a thin coat and a cotton dress. Noah looked down at himself. At his coat. His mother's coat. The math was simple. Lily was 6. Smaller body mass. Less ability to generate heat. already showing signs of severe hypothermia. Without something warmer, she wouldn't make it to the bus stop. Noah was 9. Bigger. Stronger. Had survived cold before. Could maybe possibly make it long enough to find help. Maybe. Come here. He knelt down, started unzipping his coat. What are you doing, giving you this? No. Lily's voice cracked. That's your coat? You'll be cold? I'll be fine. I live close by. The lie came easy. The same lie he'd been telling himself for months. He didn't live anywhere. He survived. There was a difference. Noah, no, please. He pulled the coat off. The cold hit him like a fist, immediate and brutal. His t-shirt, thin and worn, offered nothing. But he draped the coat over Lily's shoulders anyway, wrapped it around her like a blanket. Keep this tight, okay? Don't let go. Lily was crying again, but different tears now. Not scared tears. Grateful tears. Why are you doing this? Because my mama told me to be kind. Because you're 6 years old and you don't deserve to die in a parking lot. Because some things matter more than surviving. Because you need it more than me, he said simply. Now come on. Bus stop's right up there. They made it. The bus stop was barely more than a plastic shelter open on one side, but it blocked the worst of the wind. Noah got Lily inside, sat her on the bench, made sure the coat was wrapped tight. Stay here. Don't move. Don't fall asleep. Where are you going? There's a payphone. I'm going to try to call for help. The payphone was 20 feet away, ancient and barely functional. Noah dug through his pockets, found a single quarter. His last quarter saved for emergencies. This qualified. He lifted the receiver, deposited the coin, and dialed 911. Nothing. The line was dead. Storm must have knocked it out. He tried again. Still nothing. No, no, no. Lily was watching him through the plastic wall of the bus stop. She looked so small in his mother's coat, so fragile. If help didn't come, then Noah remembered something. Lily's backpack. She'd said her dad's number was written on a piece of paper inside. Maybe, just maybe, the water hadn't destroyed it. He ran back to the bus stop, grabbed the backpack, started digging through it. Wet clothes, wet books, a soggy sandwich, and there, in a plastic baggie that had mostly protected it, a folded piece of paper. Emergency contact. Victor Blackwood, 555-0147. The ink had run slightly, but the numbers were still readable. Noah ran back to the payphone, dialed, and waited. 1 ring, 2 rings, 3 rings. Pick up. Please pick up. 4 rings. Yeah. The voice that answered was gravel and steel, the kind of voice that made you want to apologize for bothering it. Noah swallowed hard. Hi, my name is Noah. I have your daughter. Where is she? The words weren't shouted. They were something worse. Calm, controlled, deadly. She's okay. She's with me. Some kids locked her in the lot behind the school, and I got her out. But there's a blizzard, and she was really cold, and I gave her my coat, and we're at the bus stop on Pine and 3rd, and she's safe, but she needs you to come get her, because I don't know what else to do, and you gave her your coat. Yes, sir. In a blizzard? Yes, sir. She was turning blue. I didn't know what else to do. Silence. Then something that might have been a laugh, except it wasn't funny. Kid, what's your name? Noah. Noah Carter. Noah Carter. Stay exactly where you are. Keep my daughter warm. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Yes, sir. And Noah, yes, thank you. The line went dead. Noah hung up the phone and walked back to the bus stop. His whole body was shaking now, violent tremors that he couldn't control. The cold had moved past painful into something else, something that made his thoughts slow and fuzzy. Was that my daddy? Yeah, he's coming. 10 minutes. You're shaking really bad. I'm fine. You're lying. My daddy says people lie when they're trying to be brave. Noah almost laughed. 6 years old, and she could see right through him. Maybe I'm trying to be brave. You are brave. Lily patted the bench next to her. Sit down. We can share the coat. No, it's okay. Please, you're scaring me. You look like a ghost. Noah sat. He didn't have the energy to argue anymore. Lily immediately scooted close, tried to drape some of the coat over his shoulders. It didn't really help, but the gesture meant something. You're really cold, she whispered. I know. Why did you help me? Brandon said nobody helps people like us. He said his daddy runs the town and nobody can stop him. Brandon's wrong. But why did you help? Those other boys were going to hurt you. I heard what they said. Noah thought about the question, about the real answer, the one that lived in his chest next to the grief for his mother and the fear of the future. My mom died, he said finally. 6 months ago. She was sick for a long time and we didn't have money for medicine, and she died anyway. But before she died, she made me promise something. What did you promise? She made me promise to be kind, no matter what. She said that's what makes people rich, not money. Lily was quiet for a moment. Then she took his hand, her tiny fingers barely wrapping around his palm. My mommy died too, when I was just a baby. I don't remember her, but my daddy tells me stories. He says she was the kindest person he ever met. He says that's why he loved her. And 2 motherless kids sitting in a bus stop in the middle of a blizzard holding hands. I think, Lily said slowly, I think maybe your mommy and my mommy would have been friends. Noah felt something wet on his cheeks. Not snow. Tears. He hadn't cried since the funeral. Yeah, he managed. I think maybe they would have. They sat like that, hands clasped, waiting. The storm howled around them. The cold crept deeper into Noah's bones, but somehow holding this little girl's hand, he didn't feel quite so alone. The sound came before the sight. Motorcycles. Not 1 or 2. Dozens. The roar of engines cut through the wind like thunder growing louder by the second. Lily's head snapped up. Daddy. Noah stood squinting through the snow. He saw headlights first, then shapes, then the impossible reality of what was coming toward them. A wall of motorcycles moving in perfect formation, their riders' massive shapes in leather and chrome. They pulled into the bus stop lot like an invading army. Kickstands went down in unison. Engines cut off. And then a man was striding toward them. He was tall, completely bald, with a face that looked like it had been carved from stone. Tattoos ran up his neck, disappeared beneath his collar. His leather vest bore patches that meant nothing to Noah, but clearly meant something to everyone else. Daddy! Lily launched herself off the bench and ran. The man caught her in one motion, swept her up, held her tight. For a moment his stone face cracked, and Noah saw something underneath. Fear. Relief. Love. Baby girl, you're okay. You're okay. I'm okay, Daddy. Noah saved me. He gave me his coat, and he called you, and he saved me. The man looked up. His eyes found Noah. Noah had never been looked at like that before, like he was being weighed and measured and assessed by someone who had seen the worst of humanity and expected nothing better. Then the man saw what Noah was wearing. A thin t-shirt, soaked through, in a blizzard. His expression changed. "You're the boy who called." "Yes, sir." "You gave my daughter your coat." "She was cold, sir. She needed it." The man handed Lily to another biker, a huge guy with a beard and kind eyes, and walked toward Noah. Each step felt like thunder. Noah wanted to run, but his legs wouldn't move. Too cold. Too tired. The man stopped right in front of him, looked down at this skinny, shivering 9-year-old who had given away his only protection to save a stranger. "What's your name, kid?" "Noah Carter, sir." "Noah Carter." The man said the name like he was memorizing it. "I'm Victor Blackwood. People call me Ghost." "Okay. You're freezing to death." It wasn't a question. Noah looked down at his hands, realized he couldn't feel them anymore. Realized he couldn't feel much of anything. Maybe. Ghost shook his head slowly. "You gave my daughter your coat. In a blizzard. Walked away in a t-shirt. Called me to make sure she was safe. And now you're standing here dying, and all you have to say is, maybe." Noah didn't know what to say to that. His teeth were chattering too hard to form words anyway. Ghost turned his head. "Duck it over here now." A woman appeared from the crowd of bikers. Short, dark hair eyes that were already assessing Noah with professional concern. "Jesus Christ, get him in the van. He's hypothermic." "No." Noah stumbled backward. "I'm fine. I just need to go home." "Where's home, kid?" The question hung in the air. Noah thought about lying, but he was too tired, too cold, too everything. I don't have one." Ghost's face went very still. "What do you mean you don't have one?" "I live in the church basement, St. Michael's. Pastor Wright lets me sleep there. I'm not supposed to tell anyone. Please don't call CPS. Please, I can't go to foster care. My mom was in foster care. She told me stories. I can't." Noah's legs gave out. He was unconscious before he hit the ground. The last thing he heard was Ghost's voice, sharp and commanding. "Get him to the hospital, now, and someone get me everything there is to know about a kid named Noah Carter." Then darkness. Warm darkness. And his mother's voice somewhere far away whispering, "I'm proud of you, baby. You stayed kind." Ghost caught the boy before he hit the concrete. 9 years old. Skin like ice. Lips the color of a bruise. And weighing almost nothing like his body had forgotten what food was supposed to do. "Doc?" Elena Santos was already moving her medical bag open before she reached them. She pressed 2 fingers to Noah's neck, and her face went tight. "Pulse is thready. Core temp's gotta be mid-80s, maybe lower. We need to move. Now." "Van's running," Hammer called out. "Heat's on full blast." Ghost lifted Noah like he weighed nothing. The boy's head lolled against his shoulder, and for a moment Ghost was transported back 15 years to another cold night, another small body in his arms. His wife, bleeding out on the kitchen floor after the home invasion that had also taken her life, but somehow spared their infant daughter. He'd been too late then. He wouldn't be too late now, and Eddie. Lily's voice cut through the memory. She was still wrapped in Noah's coat, that ratty patched thing that had probably saved her life. Her eyes were huge, terrified. "Is Noah gonna die?" Ghost looked at his daughter, looked at the coat, looked at the unconscious boy in his arms. "No, baby. He's not gonna die. Not if I have anything to say about it." He carried Noah to the van, laid him on the floor where Doc had already spread out blankets and activated heat packs. The other bikers formed a wall against the wind, their leather-clad bodies blocking the worst of the storm. "Hammer, you're with me. Everyone else follow to Presbyterian. Full escort." "On it, Prez." The van doors slammed shut. Doc was already cutting away Noah's soaked t-shirt, packing heat packs around his core, working with the efficiency of someone who'd treated hypothermia in combat zones. "This kid's been cold before," she muttered, not looking up. "His body's got survival patterns. See how his blood's retreated to the core? That's learned behavior. This isn't the first time he's nearly frozen to death." Ghost felt something dark and heavy settle in his chest. "What else? Malnourished, significantly. I can count his ribs from here. Old bruises on his arms, maybe 2 weeks healed. And these hands." She held up Noah's fingers, examined them. "Calluses from manual labor. This 9-year-old has been working. He said he lives in a church basement." Doc's hands stopped moving for just a second. Then she resumed, her jaw tight. "Of course he does." Lily had climbed into the van somehow, despite Hammer's attempts to keep her in one of the heated cars. She crawled over to where Noah lay and took his hand the same way she'd done in the bus stop. "Wake up, Noah. Please wake up. You gotta wake up so I can give your coat back." Ghost watched his daughter hold a stranger's hand, watched her cry for a boy she'd known for less than an hour, and made a decision. Hammer. "Yeah, Prez, I want everything. This kid's whole life story. Where he came from, what happened to his parents who hurt him, why he's living in a goddamn church basement. Everything." "How fast?" "Yesterday." The van screamed through the empty streets, sirens wailing. Behind them, 50 motorcycles followed like a funeral procession, or maybe a rescue mission. Ghost wasn't sure which yet. "He's crashing," Doc said suddenly. "Heart rate's dropping. I need to warm him faster." She grabbed more heat packs, pressed them against Noah's neck, his armpits, his groin. The clinical efficiency of her movements couldn't hide the worry in her eyes. "Come on, kid. Come on. You didn't survive all that just to die in my van?" Noah's body convulsed once, twice, then went still. "No, no, no, no." Doc grabbed her stethoscope, listened. "Faint. He's still there, but barely. Floor it." Ghost was already on the phone with the hospital. "This is Victor Blackwood. I've got a 9-year-old hypothermia victim incoming. Core temp estimated mid-80s possible cardiac involvement. You have exactly 3 minutes to have a trauma team ready, or I'll have the hospital board explaining to the governor why a child died in your parking lot. Are we clear?" He didn't wait for an answer. 2 minutes out, the driver called. "He's not breathing right," Lily whispered. She hadn't let go of Noah's hand. "Daddy, he's not breathing right." The ghost moved to his daughter, pulled her close with one arm while keeping his eyes on Doc's work. "He's gonna be okay, baby." "Promise." Ghost looked at the boy who'd given his daughter his only coat. The boy who'd walked into a blizzard in a t-shirt. The boy who'd apologized for maybe dying. "I promise." It was a promise he had no right to make. But he made it anyway. The van screeched to a halt. Doors flew open. Medical staff swarmed, transferring Noah to a gurney with practiced speed. Ghost followed Lily, still clinging to his hand, refusing to be separated. "Sir, you can't go back there." Ghost turned and looked at the nurse. Just looked. She stepped aside. The trauma room was controlled chaos. Monitors beeped. Doctors shouted numbers that meant nothing to Ghost, but clearly meant something bad. Warm IV fluids were started. A heating blanket was wrapped around Noah's small body. "Core temp 86.2. He's lucky to be alive." "He's not lucky," Ghost said quietly. "He's tough. There's a difference." A doctor approached young, tired, clearly not expecting to deal with a biker gang president at 8 p.m. on a Monday. "Mr. Blackwood, I'm Dr. Chen. Are you the boy's father?" "No, but I'm paying for everything. Whatever he needs. Best room you've got. Private nurses if that's what it takes. You understand?" Dr. Chen blinked. "Sir, we need to contact his legal guardian." "He doesn't have one. He's been living in a church basement for months. His mother's dead. Father's unknown. He fell through the cracks of your wonderful system. Now, are you going to help him, or are we going to have a problem?" The doctor's face went through several expressions before settling on professional determination. "We'll help him, but there are protocols. Handle the protocols. I'll handle everything else." Ghost's phone buzzed. "Hammer. Talk to me. Got the basics. Noah David Carter, age 9. Mother was Sarah Elizabeth Carter, died 6 months ago at County General. Cancer. No insurance bills got sent to collections. Father listed as unknown on the birth certificate. After the mother died, custody went to her boyfriend, some guy named Dale Morrison. Morrison filed abandonment paperwork 3 months ago, said the kid ran away. Ran away or got thrown out. Working on that. But here's the thing, Prez. This Dale Morrison, he's got a record. Assault. Public intoxication. Domestic disturbance calls at the address where the kid used to live. Nothing stuck, because witnesses kept recanting. Ghost's free hand curled into a fist. Find him. Prez, find him, Hammer. Tonight. He hung up. Lily was standing at the window of the trauma room, still wearing Noah's coat, watching the doctor's work. "Daddy." "Yeah, baby." Noah said his mommy made him promise to be kind, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. And she turned to look at her father with those eyes that were so much like her mother's. "That's why he gave me his coat, because his mommy made him promise." Ghost crouched down to his daughter's level. "He told you that, in the bus stop, we were holding hands because we were both cold, and he told me. He said being kind is what makes people rich." Something cracked in Ghost's chest. Something he'd kept locked away since his wife died. His mommy was smart. I think she was like my mommy. Noah said maybe they would have been friends. Ghost pulled his daughter into a hug, careful not to crush Noah's coat, and held her tight. I think maybe they would have too. 2 hours later, Noah was stable. Still unconscious, still dangerously thin, still bearing the marks of months of neglect and poverty. But stable. Core temperature rising. Heart rhythm normalized. The doctors were cautiously optimistic. Ghost sat in the private room he'd insisted on watching the boy sleep. Lily had finally passed out in the chair beside the bed, Noah's coat pulled over her like a blanket. She'd refused to let it go. The door opened. Hammer slipped in his face, grim. "You find Morrison?" "Yeah, he's at a bar on 5th Street. Been there since noon, apparently. Told the bartender he's celebrating being free of that burden his ex left him." Ghost stood slowly. "Did you tell the brothers?" "They're waiting outside. All of them. Word spread about what this kid did. Everyone wants a piece of Morrison." "No." Hammer blinked. "No, not yet. First, I want to know everything. I want to know exactly what that man did to this boy. I want to know how long. I want to know why nobody stopped it. And then when I have all the facts, we're going to have a conversation with Mr. Morrison about consequences. And the kid who locked Lily in the lot, Brandon Marsh..." Ghost's expression went cold. "The mayor's son. Yeah, his old man's Richard Marsh. Runs this town like his personal kingdom. Nobody touches his kid." "Nobody's touched his kid yet," Ghost corrected. "Get me everything on both of them. The Morrison situation is personal. The Marsh situation is business. Both get handled, but in the right order." Hammer nodded and slipped out. Ghost returned to his chair, returned to watching Noah breathe. The boy looked younger, asleep. The lines of stress and survival smoothed away by unconsciousness. He looked like what he was supposed to be, a child. A 9-year-old kid who should be worrying about homework and video games, not where his next meal was coming from. "What happened to you, kid?" Ghost murmured. "What did this world do to you?" Noah's eyes fluttered. Ghost leaned forward. "Hey, can you hear me?" A soft groan. Then Noah's eyes opened, unfocused at first, then sharpening with fear. Where am I? Hospital. You're safe." Noah tried to sit up immediately, fell back. No, I can't be here. I don't have insurance. I can't pay for this. I need to go." "Kid, stop. You don't understand. They'll call CPS. They'll put me in the system. I can't go to foster care. Please, my mom told me stories. I can't." "Noah." Ghost said the name firmly, and the boy went still. "Look at me." Noah looked. "Nobody's calling anyone. I'm handling everything. The bills, the doctors, all of it. You're not going anywhere until you're healthy. Understand? Why? Because you saved my daughter's life." Noah's eyes moved to the chair where Lily slept. Something in his expression softened. "She's okay. She's perfect. Thanks to you. Now lie back and rest." I don't understand. People don't help for free. What do you want?" The question hit Ghost harder than any punch. 9 years old, and the kid had already learned that kindness always came with a price tag. "I want you to get healthy. That's it. That's not how it works." "It is now," when Ghost leaned back in his chair. "Go to sleep, Noah. We'll talk more tomorrow." Noah stared at him for a long moment, clearly searching for the catch, the angle, the thing that would prove Ghost was just like everyone else. Finally, exhaustion won. His eyes closed. Ghost watched him sleep and made another decision. This boy wasn't going back to that church basement, wasn't going back to foster care, wasn't going back to anything that had hurt him. Ghost didn't know what that meant yet, didn't know how to make it work legally or practically. But he knew one thing for certain. Noah Carter had given everything to save a stranger's daughter. Now that stranger's father was going to give everything right back. The night passed slowly. Doctors came and went, checking vitals, adjusting medications. Ghost didn't move from his chair except to carry Lily to the small couch in the corner when she started shivering. Around 3 a.m., his phone buzzed again. "Talk." "Prez, it's Chains. You need to hear this." "I'm listening." "We found the church. St. Michael's like the kid said. Talked to the pastor, old guy named Thomas Wright. He broke down crying when we told him Noah was in the hospital." "What did he say?" "Said the kid showed up 3 months ago, half-starved, covered in bruises. Said he begged not to call the authorities. Said he's been sleeping on a broken cot in the basement, eating whatever Wright could sneak him from the food pantry. The old man's been tearing himself apart over it, wanting to help more, but terrified that if he did, the kid would bolt." Ghost closed his eyes. "What else?" "We searched the basement." "Prez, you need to see this yourself." "Describe it." "Concrete floor. One cot with a sleeping bag that's got holes in it. A photo of a woman, must be his mom, propped up against a candle. 3 books from the library, all of them about survival. And a journal." Ghost's eyes opened. "A journal." "Wright said the kid writes in it every night. We didn't read it. Figured that should be your call, but... Prez, this kid's been through hell. And he's been through it alone. Bring me the journal. And the photo. And whatever else he's got. He's not going back there, so he might as well have his things." "Will do." "And Prez?" "Yeah. The brothers are talking. They want to know what you're planning to do about all this." Ghost looked at Noah, still sleeping, still fragile, still somehow alive, despite everything working against him. "I'm planning to make things right." That's what they figured. They're in. All of them. Ghost hung up. Dawn came slowly, gray light creeping through the hospital windows. Noah woke again around 7 more, alert this time, but still wary, still waiting for the trap to spring. "Morning, kid. You're still here. Where else would I be?" Noah didn't have an answer for that. Lily woke up next, immediately scrambling off the couch and running to Noah's bedside. "You're awake. You're really awake. I was so scared you were gonna die." "I'm okay." "You're not okay. You almost died because you gave me your coat. That's not okay. That's the opposite of okay." Despite everything, Noah almost smiled. "You sound like your dad." "I know. Everyone says that." Lily climbed onto the edge of the bed, careful not to disturb the IV lines. "I'm not giving your coat back, by the way." "What? It's mine." "I know. But Daddy says it's bad luck to return a coat that saved someone's life before the person who gave it is all better. And you're not all better yet." Noah looked at Ghost. "Did you actually say that 'made it up on the spot'? Sounded good though, didn't it?" That tiny, almost smile appeared on Noah's face again. "Yeah, it kinda did." It was the first crack in the armor, the first sign that maybe, just maybe, this kid could learn to trust again. Ghost decided to push gently. "Noah, I need to ask you some questions. About where you've been living. About what happened after your mom died. Can you do that?" The armor snapped back into place. "I don't want to talk about that." "I know, but I need to understand what happened so I can make sure it never happens again." "Why do you care? You don't know me. I'm nobody." "You're not nobody." Ghost leaned forward. "You're the kid who saved my daughter's life. That makes you somebody. That makes you important. And important people don't sleep in church basements." Noah's eyes were wet, but he blinked the tears back. "Dale kicked me out after Mom died. Said I wasn't his problem. Said if I told anyone he'd tell them I was crazy and dangerous, and they'd put me somewhere worse than foster care." "And you believed him?" "He hit me. A lot. Before Mom died, he hit me when she wasn't looking. After she died, he hit me whenever he wanted. So yeah, I believed him." Ghost's hands curled into fists under the bed rail. "And nobody helped, no teachers, no neighbors. People don't see what they don't want to see. That's what my mom always said. She said the world's full of people who look the other way because it's easier." 9 years old. Talking about the world like a man who'd given up on it. "Your mom was right," Ghost said quietly. "But not everyone looks away. Some people see everything. And some people do something about it." "Like who?" Ghost met the boy's eyes. "Like me." The door opened. Hammer walked in carrying a small cardboard box. "Got his things from the church." Noah's expression crumbled. "How did you—" "That's my stuff. That's private." "I know, yeah. I'm sorry, but you're not going back there, so I figured you'd want your things." "I'm not going back." "No." "Then where am I going?" Ghost took a deep breath. He hadn't planned this, hadn't thought it through. But some things didn't need planning. Some things just needed to be done. "You're coming home with me." Noah stared at the man like he'd spoken a foreign language. "What? You're coming home with me, when the doctors clear you?" "I don't— You can't just—" "I can, and I am." Lily bounced on the edge of the bed. "You're gonna live with us. We have a really big house, and I have my own room, and there's a pool, but it's too cold to swim right now, and Daddy makes the best pancakes, and—" "Lily, give him a second." But Noah wasn't hearing any of it. His brain had short-circuited somewhere between coming home and with me, and now he was just staring at Ghost like the man had grown a second head. "People don't do that." "Do what?" "Take in kids they don't know. That's not how it works." "How does it work then?" Noah's jaw tightened. You feel sorry for me now. Everybody feels sorry at first. But then it gets hard and I get to be too much and you get tired of dealing with someone else's problems. So you send me away. That's how it works. I've seen it. My mom saw it. It's always the same. Ghost leaned forward, elbows on his knees. You done what? You done telling me what I'm going to do because I gotta say, kid, you don't know me well enough to predict my behavior. I know enough. You're grateful right now. But grateful wears off. Does it always? Ghost was quiet for a moment. Then he reached into the cardboard box Hammer had brought, pulled out the framed photo, and held it up. This your mom? Noah's whole body went rigid. Don't. She was beautiful. You look like her. Same eyes. Put it down. She died of cancer. No insurance, couldn't afford the treatments that might have saved her. And after she was gone, the man who was supposed to take care of you threw you out like garbage. Stop. You lived in a basement for 3 months, ate scraps, wore the same clothes until they fell apart, and still when you saw my daughter freezing, you gave her the only thing you had, the coat your dying mother gave you. Noah's eyes were wet now. Please stop. Why? Because I can't do this. I can't let you be nice to me and then have it taken away again. I can't survive that. Not again. The words exploded out of him, raw and broken, and suddenly the 9-year-old wasn't a survivor anymore. He was just a kid. A scared, grieving, exhausted kid who'd been hurt so many times he'd forgotten what it felt like not to be hurt. Ghost set the photo down gently. Noah, look at me. Noah looked. I'm not your mom's boyfriend. I'm not the foster system. I'm not anyone who's ever let you down. I'm a man who runs a motorcycle club, which means I have more power in this town than the mayor thinks he does. And I'm telling you right now, on my wife's grave, on my daughter's life, that I am not going to throw you away. You can't promise that. I just did. Promises don't mean anything. Mine do. Ghost held the boy's gaze. Ask anyone who knows me. Ask Hammer. Ask Doc. Ask any of the 50 men who rode through a blizzard to find you. My word is law. And my word is this: you have a home now. A real one. With a bed and food and people who give a damn whether you live or die. Why? You still haven't told me why. Ghost glanced at Lily, who was watching the exchange with wide, serious eyes. Because my daughter is alive. Because you made a choice that most adults wouldn't make. Because your mother raised you right, and someone ought to honor that. And because, he paused, because I know what it's like to be alone. To have nobody in your corner. It's a hell I wouldn't wish on anyone, let alone a 9-year-old. Noah was crying now. Not sobbing, not breaking down, but tears sliding silently down his cheeks. I don't know how to do this. Do what? Be part of a family. I don't know how. It's been so long since. We'll figure it out together. Okay. Noah didn't say yes. Didn't say no. Just sat there, tears falling, looking at this stranger who was offering him everything he'd dreamed about and everything he was terrified to accept. Lily solved the problem by crawling up the bed and hugging him. You're going to be my brother now, and I'm going to teach you how to play Uno, and we're going to watch movies together, and it's going to be the best thing ever. Noah looked down at the little girl wrapped around him. The little girl who was alive because he'd given her his coat. The little girl who'd held his hand in a bus stop and told him their mothers would have been friends. Okay, he whispered. Lily pulled back, beaming. Okay, you mean it. Yeah, okay. Ghost felt something loosen in his chest, something he hadn't even realized was tight. Good. Now get some rest. Doc says you need at least 2 more days here before you're strong enough to leave. What about Dale? Ghost's expression went flat. What about him? He's still out there. If he finds out I told someone, if he thinks I talked. Dale Morrison is not your problem anymore. But he's my problem now, and I handle my problems very, very thoroughly. Something in Ghost's voice made Noah shiver. What are you going to do? Whatever I have to. Ghost kissed Lily on the forehead, and headed for the door. Get some sleep, both of you. I'll be back tonight. He was gone before Noah could ask any more questions. Hammer was waiting in the hallway. Morrison's at his apartment. Hasn't moved since last night. Brothers are watching. Good. Let him stew for a while. I want him nice and comfortable before we have our conversation. What about the Marsh kid? One thing at a time. Morrison first. He's the one who put bruises on a 9-year-old. They walked through the hospital, Hammer matching Ghost's stride. Other patients and staff scattered out of their path without being asked. Prez, I gotta ask. Ask. You're really taking this kid in for good. You got a problem with that? No, it's a big move. Legal stuff. Custody battles. The system's gonna fight you. Let them fight. They left him sleeping in a basement while his abuser spent his days at the bar. They don't get to pretend they care now. And if Morrison makes trouble? Ghost stopped walking, turned to face his VP. Hammer, in the last 12 hours I found out that a 12-year-old tried to kill my daughter by leaving her in a blizzard. I found out that a 9-year-old saved her life by giving her his only coat. I found out that same 9-year-old has been living like a stray dog because a grown man beat him and threw him away. I am not in the mood to worry about whether Dale Morrison makes trouble. Hammer nodded slowly. Understood, Prez. Get the van. We're paying Mr. Morrison a visit. Dale Morrison was halfway through his 6th beer when the door came off its hinges. He jumped up from his recliner bottle, crashing to the floor, and found himself facing 3 of the biggest men he'd ever seen. Leather vests. Patches that meant nothing to him but clearly meant something. What the hell? Who are you? You can't just... Ghost walked through the doorway. Dale's protests died in his throat. Something about this bald man with the dead eyes made every survival instinct in Dale's body scream. Dale Morrison, who's asking? Sit down. It wasn't a request. Dale sat. Ghost pulled up a chair, positioned it directly in front of Dale, and sat down with the casual ease of a man who had all the time in the world. Do you know who I am? No. My name is Victor Blackwood. People call me Ghost. I run the Steel Wolves. Dale's face went pale. Everyone in Minnesota knew the Steel Wolves. Everyone knew what happened to people who crossed them. I don't have any business with you. I haven't done anything. Haven't you? No, I swear, I keep to myself. I don't deal. Noah Carter. Dale's mouth snapped shut. Tell me about him. Who? Ghost moved so fast, Dale didn't even see it coming. One moment he was sitting calmly, the next his hand was around Dale's throat, squeezing just hard enough to make breathing difficult. Don't lie to me. I have 0 patience today. Noah Carter, the 9-year-old whose mother you watched die. The 9-year-old you beat. The 9-year-old you threw out of your house like trash. Tell me about him. He ran away. Ghost squeezed harder. Try again. Okay. Dale's voice was a wheeze. I kicked him out. All right, Sarah died and I didn't want the kid. He wasn't mine. Why should I be stuck with someone else's brat? So you threw him out. A 9-year-old, in September. He was fine. Kids are resilient. He probably found somewhere to go. Ghost released Dale's throat, sat back, and smiled. It was the most terrifying thing Dale had ever seen. He did find somewhere to go. A church basement. He slept on concrete, ate whatever scraps he could find, worked illegal jobs to pay for food, all because you couldn't be bothered. That's not my fault. No. What about the bruises? Dale's face flickered. fear, then defiance. I don't know what you're talking about. He's got old bruises on his arms, about 2 weeks healed, same age as when you last saw him. Coincidence. The kid was clumsy, always falling, always, you hit him. I disciplined him. There's a difference. Sarah was too soft. The kid needed a firm hand. Ghost was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood up, walked to the window, and looked out at the night. My wife died 7 years ago. Home invasion. 3 men broke in while I was at work. She was home alone with our baby daughter. She fought them hard enough that they killed her before they could touch Lily. Dale wasn't sure why Ghost was telling him this, but he knew better than to interrupt. After that, I raised my daughter alone, 6 years old now. Sweetest kid you ever met. And 2 days ago, some punk rich kid left her in a blizzard to die. Ghost turned around. You know who saved her? Dale shook his head. Noah Carter, the boy you threw away. He found my daughter freezing in a parking lot, gave her his coat, his only coat, and walked away in a t-shirt. Nearly died doing it. 9 years old, and he had more courage, more character, more basic human decency than you will ever have in your entire worthless life. Look, I'm sorry about your daughter, but that's got nothing to do with, it has everything to do with you. Because the reason Noah was out in that blizzard in the first place, the reason he had nowhere to go, that's on you. Ghost walked back to his chair, sat down, leaned forward. Here's what's going to happen, Dale. You're going to sign over any legal claim you have to Noah Carter. Full abandonment paperwork. You're going to do it tonight, and you're going to do it without complaint. And if I don't, then my friends and I will have a much longer conversation. The kind of conversation that involves several of your favorite body parts and exactly 0 witnesses. Dale swallowed hard. You can't threaten me. I'll call the cops. Will you call them? Tell them the Steel Wolves broke into your apartment. Tell them I threatened you. And then watch what happens when they investigate and find out you've been collecting child support payments for a kid you kicked out 3 months ago. Dale's face went white. Yeah, I know about that too. Social Security survivor benefits. They've been coming to this address since Sarah died. $342 a month. Money meant for Noah. Money you've been cashing while he starved. That's not fraud. Benefits fraud. You could do 5 years. Maybe more given the circumstances, or... Ghost spread his hands. You sign the papers, walk away clean. Never speak the name Noah Carter again. Your choice. Dale's hands were shaking. Fine. Fine, I'll sign whatever you want. Just leave me alone. Ghost pulled a folder from inside his jacket, laid it on the coffee table. These documents relinquish any claim to Noah Carter. Sign them. Every page. Don't read them. Don't ask questions. Just sign. Dale grabbed a pen from the side table, started signing with trembling hands. One more thing. Dale looked up. If you ever come near that boy again, if I ever hear that you spoke his name, looked in his direction, breathed the same air as him, I will destroy you. Not hurt you, not threaten you. Destroy you. Everything you have, everything you are, everything you might someday be. Gone. Like it never existed. Are we clear? Dale nodded frantically. Say it. We're clear. We're clear. I'll stay away. I promise. Ghost took the signed papers, checked each signature, and tucked the folder back into his jacket. Hammer. We're done here. They left Dale Morrison sitting in his ruined apartment, shaking beer soaking into the carpet, wondering how his life had fallen apart so fast. In the hallway, Hammer glanced at his president. You weren't really going to hurt him, were you? Ghost kept walking. Hammer, if you'd seen the way that boy flinched when I raised my voice, you'd know exactly what I was ready to do to Dale Morrison. The fact that he signed those papers is the only reason he still has both his hands. They reached the parking lot. The night was cold, but the storm had passed. What's next? Back to the hospital. I want to be there when Noah wakes up. And the Marsh kid. Ghost climbed onto his bike. That's tomorrow. Tonight is about making sure Noah knows he's safe. Tomorrow is about making sure Brandon Marsh knows he's not. Noah woke to find Ghost sitting in the same chair watching him. You were gone a long time. Had some business to take care of. Dale. Ghost reached into his jacket, pulled out the folder, set it on the bed. These are legal documents, signed by Dale Morrison. He's given up any claim to you, completely. You're free. Noah stared at the folder like it might bite him. He just signed them. He was motivated. Did you hurt him? No. Ghost paused. But I thought about it. A lot. Noah reached out, touched the folder with one finger, like he was testing whether it was real. So what happens to me now? I'm not anybody's. You're mine. Noah looked up. I'm talking to my lawyers tomorrow, filing for emergency custody. It's going to take some time and there's going to be paperwork, but at the end of it, you'll have a legal guardian, someone who actually wants the job. You want to adopt me? I want you to have a home. What we call it doesn't matter. What matters is that you never have to sleep in a basement again. Lily stirred on the couch, opened her eyes, saw that her father was back. Daddy, is everything okay? Everything's fine, baby. Go back to sleep. But Lily was already awake, crawling off the couch and padding over to the bed. Did you fix things? I'm fixing them. One step at a time. Good. She climbed onto the bed, settled next to Noah. Because Noah's my brother now, and brothers need to be safe. Noah looked at this little girl who'd claimed him so completely, so easily, like it was the most natural thing in the world. I'm not really your brother. Yes, you are, I decided. That's not how it works. That's exactly how it works. Daddy says family is the people who choose you, not just the people who share your blood. And I choose you. So you're my brother. Noah looked at Ghost. She always like this. Worse. She'll argue you into the ground and then make you apologize for disagreeing with her. I heard that, Daddy. I meant you to, sweetheart. For the first time in months, Noah laughed. Really laughed. Not the bitter sound of someone who'd given up on joy, but the genuine sound of a kid finding something funny. Ghost watched him and felt something settle in his chest. This was right. This was where the boy was supposed to be. Now he just had to deal with one more problem. Brandon Marsh had no idea what was coming for him. 3 days later, Noah walked through the front doors of Jefferson Elementary for the first time since the blizzard. He looked different. Not just the new clothes that actually fit, or the haircut that didn't look like he'd done it himself with dull scissors. Something in the way he carried himself had shifted. His shoulders weren't hunched anymore. His eyes didn't automatically drop to the floor. Lily walked beside him, holding his hand, refusing to let go. Remember what Daddy said? She whispered. Head up. They can't hurt you anymore. I know. And if Brandon says anything mean, I'll kick him in the shin. Lily, no. Fine. I'll kick him in both shins. Despite the nerves churning in his stomach, Noah smiled. 3 days of living in Ghost's house had taught him something important. Lily was absolutely serious about protecting her new brother. The hallway went quiet as they walked through. Noah felt the stairs, heard the whispers. Word had spread, as word always did in small towns, about the homeless kid who'd saved the biker's daughter, about the motorcycle club that had turned Presbyterian Hospital upside down, about the mayor's son and the blizzard and the coat. Nobody knew exactly what was true and what was rumor, but everybody knew something had changed. Hey, garbage boy. Noah stopped, turned. Brandon Marsh stood by the lockers, Marcus and Tyler flanking him like always. But something was different about them, too. They looked nervous, uncertain. Brandon was trying to hide it, but Noah could see the fear underneath the bravado. "Heard you found yourself a sugar daddy. Some biker freak taking in strays now. Walk away, Brandon. Or what, your new daddy gonna come beat me up? My father's the mayor. He owns the police. He owns this whole town. Your biker friends can't touch me." Noah felt the old instincts rising. Run, hide, be invisible. Don't make waves. But then Lily squeezed his hand. "My daddy's coming," she said sweetly. "And he's bringing friends." Brandon laughed. "Oh yeah, how many friends?" The answer came in the form of a sound that made every person in the hallway freeze. Motorcycles. Dozens of them. The roar building like approaching thunder, growing louder by the second until the windows rattled and the floor vibrated. Brandon's face went pale. "What the?" The engines cut off, all at once in perfect synchronization. Then the front doors opened and Ghost walked in. He wasn't alone. Hammer was behind him, then Doc, then Chains, then a river of leather-clad men that kept coming and coming until the entire front entrance was filled with steel wolves. Ghost walked through the crowd of frozen students like they weren't even there. His eyes were locked on Brandon. "Which one of you is Brandon Marsh?" Nobody spoke. I asked a question. Tyler and Marcus took simultaneous steps backward, leaving Brandon standing alone. So much for loyalty. I'm Brandon Marsh." Ghost stopped directly in front of the 12-year-old, looked down at him. "You're smaller than I expected. My father's the mayor. I can do whatever I want. That's the difference between power and authority. Your father has authority. I have power. Want me to explain the difference?" Brandon's mouth opened and closed. Nothing came out. The hallway had filled with students now. Teachers, too, hovering at the edges, none of them willing to intervene. Principal Warren pushed through the crowd, face red. "What is the meaning of this?" "You can't just—" "Principal Warren." Ghost didn't even look at him. "I'm Victor Blackwood. We spoke on the phone. That doesn't give you the right to bring what concerned citizens. These are my associates. They're here to witness a public apology." "Apology? What apology? I wasn't informed of any. Maybe you should have been informed when a 12-year-old locked a 6-year-old girl in an empty lot during a blizzard. Maybe you should have been informed when that same 12-year-old's friends tried to hold down a 9-year-old boy who wanted to help. Maybe you should have been informed about a lot of things that happened on your property under your watch that could have killed 2 children. Principal Warren went very quiet. "But you weren't informed, were you? Because nobody tells you the things that might make you uncomfortable. Nobody reports the bullying that happens in your hallways every single day. Nobody mentions the kids who eat alone because they're too scared to sit near anyone. Nobody talks about the students who dread coming to school because people like Brandon Marsh make their lives hell. Now wait just a minute. I'm not done." Ghost's voice dropped to something quiet and deadly. "My daughter almost died here. A 9-year-old boy almost died here. And from what I've learned, this isn't new. This is pattern behavior. Brandon Marsh and his friends have been terrorizing smaller kids for years, and you've done nothing. Because his father is the mayor. Because it's easier to look away. Mr. Blackwood, I assure you, I don't want your assurances. I want action. And if you won't provide it, I will." Ghost turned back to Brandon, who looked like he might throw up. "Here's how this is going to work. You're going to apologize, right now, in front of everyone, to my daughter, to Noah Carter. And you're going to mean it. You locked a 6-year-old in a freezing lot and walked away. You let your friends hold down a 9-year-old who tried to stop you. You left them both to die. Do you understand that they could have died? My daughter could have died." Brandon started to cry. It wasn't fake crying the kind kids do when they're trying to get out of trouble. This was real. Terrified. The crying of a child who had finally realized the weight of what he'd done. I didn't mean for her to get hurt. I was mad because she bumped into me and what? She didn't show you enough respect. She didn't grovel appropriately. I don't know why I did it. I get so angry sometimes and I don't think and... Stop. Ghost held up a hand. I don't want your excuses. I want your apology. The front doors opened again. This time a different figure walked through. Mayor Richard Marsh. He was red-faced, sweating, clearly having rushed from wherever he'd been. His suit was expensive but disheveled. His eyes were wild. What the hell is going on here, Victor Blackwood? You have no right. I have every right. Your son committed assault, attempted manslaughter through negligence. And from the security footage I've obtained, this wasn't his first offense. Mayor Marsh stopped cold. What footage? Ghost pulled out his phone, held it up. The screen showed Brandon and his friends dragging Lily toward the back gate, clear as day. Your school's cameras work better than you think, Mayor. And they've captured some very interesting footage over the years. Brandon pushing a third grader down the stairs, Brandon stealing lunch money from special needs students, Brandon cornering a little girl in the parking lot during a blizzard. That footage is school property. You can't. I can and I did. Want to know how easy it was to find people willing to share information about your family. Want to know how many enemies you've made in your time as mayor. People who've been waiting for an opportunity just like this. Mayor Marsh looked around at the crowd, at the students with their phones out recording everything, at the teachers who wouldn't meet his eyes, at his son crying in the middle of the hallway. What do you want? Justice, real consequences, not the slap on the wrist your boy has gotten every other time. I'll handle it privately. I'll make sure... No, public. Right here, right now. Hammer stepped forward, handed Ghost a folder. Ghost opened it, started reading. Here's what's going to happen. Brandon Marsh will apologize publicly to Lily Blackwood and Noah Carter. Brandon Marsh will complete 200 hours of community service at the county homeless shelter. Brandon Marsh will undergo mandatory counseling for anger management. Brandon Marsh will be suspended for the remainder of the semester. And Brandon Marsh will write a 5,000-word essay on the consequences of bullying to be published in the school newspaper. That's excessive. He's 12 years old. He's 12 years old, and he almost killed 2 children. What would be excessive is me handling this the way I want to handle it. Consider this the merciful option. Mayor Marsh looked at his son. Really looked. Did you do it, what he said? Did you really lock that little girl outside? Brandon couldn't meet his father's eyes. She bumped into me, got ketchup on my shirt. I was teaching her a lesson. By leaving her to freeze to death. I didn't know the storm was going to be that bad. Something broke in Mayor Marsh's face. Not anger. Disappointment. Horror. The realization that his son was capable of something truly monstrous. Apologize. Dad, apologize right now to both of them. Brandon turned to face Noah and Lily. His face was streaked with tears, his shoulders shaking. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for locking you in the lot, Lily. I'm sorry for having my friends hold you down, Noah. I'm sorry for calling you names and making fun of your coat and everything. I'm sorry. Lily looked up at Noah. Noah looked at Brandon. Do you actually mean it? I don't know, I think so. I've never had anyone actually stop me before. Everyone's always been too scared of my dad. Being scared doesn't make it right. I know. Brandon's voice cracked. I know it doesn't. I've been awful. Not just to you, To everyone. And I don't know how to be different. Ghost stepped forward. That's what the counseling is for. But here's the truth, kid. I'm not doing this because I think you're evil. I'm doing this because someone should have stopped you years ago. Someone should have taught you that actions have consequences. No one did. Consider this your education. Brandon nodded, wiping his face with his sleeve. What happens now? Now you start your community service. This Saturday, 6 a.m. You're going to learn what it's like to be the people you've looked down on your entire life. And maybe if you're lucky, you'll come out of it a better person. Mayor Marsh stepped forward, his political mask cracking. Blackwood, I underestimated you. I thought you were just some thug who got lucky. Most people make that mistake. I won't make it again. The mayor straightened his jacket, looked at his son. We'll comply. All of it. Brandon's actions were inexcusable. I've been too focused on protecting him and not focused enough on raising him. That changes now. See that it does. Because if I hear about another incident, any incident involving your son and a smaller child, the conversation we have next won't be this pleasant. And Ghost turned to address the crowd. Let this be a lesson to everyone here. The strong do not prey on the weak. Power is not an excuse for cruelty. And there are people in this world who will hold you accountable when the system fails. He walked to Noah, put a hand on his shoulder. This boy saved my daughter's life. He gave away his only coat, the last thing his mother ever gave him to keep a stranger warm. He nearly died for a little girl he'd never met. That's what real strength looks like. That's what character is. Ghost turned back to the crowd. I expect every single person in this school to treat Noah Carter with the respect he deserves. Not because of me, not because of my club, because he earned it. With his actions, with his choices, with his heart. The hallway was dead silent. Then someone started clapping. Sarah Martinez, one of the 6th graders, standing alone near the water fountain. She was clapping hard, tears streaming down her face. Another student joined. Then another. Then teachers. Then the whole hallway erupted in applause, the sound building and building until it echoed off the walls. Noah stood frozen, overwhelmed. He'd spent so long being invisible. So long being the kid nobody saw. And now everyone was looking at him, clapping for him, seeing him. Lily tugged on his sleeve. They're clapping for you, dummy. I know, I don't know what to do. You wave. That's what Daddy does when people clap. Noah raised his hand in an awkward half-wave. The applause got louder. Ghost watched the boy, watched the way he struggled to accept appreciation, and felt his heart crack a little more. How long had it been since anyone celebrated this kid? How long since anyone told him he mattered? All right, all right. Ghost raised his hands, quieting the crowd. Show's over. Everyone back to class. Except you. He pointed at Principal Warren. We need to talk about some policy changes. Warren nodded quickly. Of course, my office, whatever you need. The crowd began to disperse. Brandon and his father left together, the mayor's hand on his son's shoulder, already beginning what would clearly be a long and difficult conversation. Ghost crouched down to Noah's level. You okay? I don't understand what just happened. Justice happened. The kind that doesn't usually exist for kids like you. The kind that your mother probably prayed for every day. Noah's eyes welled up. She would have liked you. Yeah, she always said there were good people in the world, people who would fight for the ones who couldn't fight for themselves. I stopped believing her after she died. But what? I think I believe her again. Ghost pulled the boy into a hug. Right there in the hallway in front of everyone who was left. The president of the Steel Wolves hugging a 9-year-old orphan like he was the most important person in the world. Your mom was right, kid. The good people are out here. Sometimes you just have to survive long enough to find them. Lily joined the hug, wrapping her arms around both of them. Family hug. This is a family hug? Noah laughed through his tears. Is she always this intense? Always. You'll get used to it. I don't think I will. No, Ghost admitted. Probably not. They stood like that for a long moment, the three of them, while the hallway emptied and the normal sounds of school resumed around them. Then Hammer's voice cut through. Prez, you're gonna want to see this. Ghost released the kid, stood up. Hammer was holding his phone, face grim. What? Someone filmed the whole thing. It's already going viral. 30,000 views in the last 10 minutes. The confrontation, all of it. The speech, the apology, the applause, everything. Ghost took the phone, watched a few seconds of shaky footage. Himself walking through the doors, the bikers behind him. Brandon crying, "Who posted it?" "Some kid. Doesn't matter now. It's everywhere. News stations are picking it up. The headline's already written, Biker Gang Confronts Mayor's Son Over Near-Fatal Bullying Incident. You're famous, Prez." Ghost handed the phone back. "I don't care about famous." "You should, because this is either going to make our lives a lot easier or a lot harder. Depends on how the public reacts." Ghost looked at Noah, who was listening to every word. "It'll be okay," Noah said quietly. "People like when someone stands up to bullies. That's what my mom always said. Your mom said a lot of smart things. She was the smartest person I ever knew." Ghost made a decision. Then let's make sure her son gets the attention he deserves. Hammer set up an interview. Whatever station wants to talk first. We're going to tell this story the right way. You sure, Prez? That means putting the kid in front of cameras. Ghost looked at Noah. "What do you think? You want to tell your story?" Noah was quiet for a moment. Then he straightened his shoulders, lifted his chin, and met Ghost's eyes. "If it helps other kids like me, yeah. I'll do it. Even if it's scary. Everything's been scary for a long time. At least this scary might actually help someone." Ghost smiled. A real smile, not the terrifying one he used on enemies. "You're braver than most adults I know, kid. My mom always said being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you do the thing anyway." She sounds like she was something special. She was. Noah's voice was steady. "And I'm going to make her proud." Lily grabbed his hand again. "You already have. Now come on. We're going to be late for class, and I'm not getting detention because you were busy being a hero." Noah let her drag him down the hallway, toward a classroom full of kids who would never look at him the same way again. Ghost watched them go, then turned to Hammer. "Get the interview set up. Local news first, then we'll see. And if the mayor tries to retaliate, let him try. I have enough dirt on Richard Marsh to bury him 6 times over. He knows it. That's why he folded so fast." "You think Brandon will actually change?" Ghost thought about the question. About the boy crying in the hallway. About the father who'd finally seen his son clearly. Maybe. Some people can change when they're shown a better way. Others can't. Either way, he won't hurt anyone at this school again. That's what matters. They walked out together, the steel wolves falling into formation behind them. The parking lot was full of news vans, now reporters shouting questions, cameras flashing. Ghost ignored them all. He had more important things to think about, like making sure Noah Carter never slept in a basement again, like filing those custody papers, like turning a house into a home for a kid who'd forgotten what home meant. The world could watch if it wanted. He had a son to raise. The interview aired 3 days later. Noah sat on Ghost's couch. Lily pressed against his side, watching himself on television. It felt surreal seeing his own face on the screen, hearing his own voice telling the story of the blizzard, the coat, the basement. "I didn't think about it," TV Noah was saying to the reporter. She was cold. "I had something that could help, that's all." "But you nearly died. You walked into a blizzard in just a t-shirt." "I know, but if I hadn't, If I'd just walked away, she would have died. And I couldn't live with that. My mom taught me that kindness matters, even when it costs you everything. Lily squeezed his hand. You sound so brave on TV. I was terrified. That's what brave means, dummy. Ghost sat in his armchair, watching not the television, but the two children on his couch. His children. The thought still felt strange, but less strange every day. The interview had changed everything. Within 48 hours, Noah's story had spread across the country. National news picked it up. Talk shows called. A GoFundMe that Ghost hadn't authorized raised $200,000 for homeless children like Noah. The mayor's office was flooded with calls demanding his resignation. And through it all, Noah just wanted to go to school and be normal. Can we turn it off? He asked quietly. It's weird watching myself. Ghost clicked the remote. The screen went dark. You did good, kid. People needed to hear that story. I know. I don't want to be famous. I just want to be regular. You're not regular. You're extraordinary. But I understand. We'll let the attention die down. The doorbell rang. Lily jumped up. That's probably the pizza. She ran to the door, yanked it open, and froze. Brandon Marsh stood on the porch. He looked different. Thinner. Tired. His expensive clothes had been replaced by something simpler, a plain hoodie and jeans that looked like they'd actually been worn more than once. Hi, he said quietly. Is Noah here? Ghost was on his feet, immediately moving toward the door. What are you doing at my house? I came to apologize. For real this time. Not because my dad made me. You apologized at school. That was because I had to. Because everyone was watching. This is different. Noah appeared behind Ghost's shoulder. Let him talk. Kid, you don't owe him anything. I know, but I want to hear what he has to say. Ghost hesitated, then stepped aside. Brandon walked in slowly like he was entering enemy territory, which in a way he was. I've been doing my community service, Brandon said without preamble, at the homeless shelter, every Saturday for the last month. I heard. There's this kid there, Marcus. He's 8, lives in his mom's car because they got evicted. Brandon's voice cracked. He reminds me of you. The way he flinches when adults raise their voices. The way he hoards food like he doesn't know when he'll eat again. Noah said nothing. I never thought about it before. What it's like to be hungry, to be scared all the time, to have nowhere to go. I thought poor kids were different from me, like they chose it or something. We didn't choose anything. I know that now. Brandon wiped his eyes. Marcus asked me once why I was there. Why a rich kid was serving soup at a homeless shelter. And I told him the truth. I told him I hurt people. Kids like him. Because I thought I was better than them. What did he say? He asked if I was sorry. Really sorry. And I said yes. And then he asked if sorry was enough. Brandon looked at Noah directly. Is sorry enough? Noah was quiet for a long moment. Lily had crept back to his side, holding his hand again, watching the exchange with wide eyes. My mom used to say that sorry is just a word. It's what you do after that matters. I'm trying to do better. I swear I am. Then keep trying. That's all anyone can do. Brandon nodded slowly. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I know I don't deserve that. But I wanted you to know. What you did that day in the blizzard, it changed things. For me. For a lot of people. It almost killed me. I know. And I have to live with that. Every day I have to live with knowing that you almost died because of what I did. Brandon's voice broke completely. I'm so sorry, Noah. I'm so sorry. He was crying now. Real tears, the kind that couldn't be faked. Noah looked at this boy who'd tormented him, who'd almost killed Lily, who'd made his life hell for months. He looked at the broken teenager standing in Ghost's living room, sobbing apologies that might or might not mean anything. And he made a choice. Okay. Brandon looked up. Okay, I hear you. I believe you're trying. Noah paused. I don't forgive you yet. Maybe I will someday. But not yet. That's fair. That's more than fair. But I'm not going to hate you anymore either. Hate takes too much energy, and I've got better things to do with my life. Brandon laughed weakly through his tears. You're 9. How are you smarter than every adult I know? I had a good teacher, my mom. They stood there, 2 boys who should have been enemies, finding something that wasn't quite friendship, but might have been the beginning of understanding. Ghost watched from the doorway, saying nothing, letting Noah handle it his way. I should go, Brandon said finally. I needed you to know that it matters. What you did. It matters. He turned to leave. Brandon? The older boy stopped. That kid at the shelter, Marcus. What's going to happen to him? I don't know. His mom's trying to find work. They might have to move to another city where things are cheaper. Will you keep checking on him even after your community service is done? Brandon was quiet for a moment. Yeah, I will. Good. That's the thing that matters, not the apology. The doing something. Brandon nodded once, then walked out the door. Lily looked up at Noah. That was really mature of you. I learned from the best. He glanced at Ghost. Both of them. Ghost felt something warm spread through his chest. All right, enough emotional growth for one evening. Where's that pizza we ordered? 2 months later, the adoption was finalized. Noah stood in the courtroom wearing a suit that Lily had picked out, holding a folder of documents that would legally make him Noah Carter Blackwood. Ghost stood beside him, solid and immovable as always. Lily bounced on her heels, barely containing her excitement. This is the best day ever, she whispered loudly. You're officially my brother now, like legally. I was already your brother. Yeah, but now it's on paper. Paper makes it real. The judge, an older woman with kind eyes who clearly knew exactly who Ghost was, and didn't seem to care, smiled at the exchange. Mr. Blackwood, you understand the responsibilities you're undertaking today. I do your honor. And Noah, you understand what this means, that Victor Blackwood will legally be your father with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. Noah looked at Ghost. At this man who'd found him dying in an alley, who'd taken him in without hesitation, who'd fought for him when no one else would. Yes, ma'am. I understand. Do you have anything you'd like to say before I finalize this adoption? Noah hadn't prepared anything. Hadn't even thought about this moment, too afraid to believe it would actually happen. But the words came anyway. My mom died 6 months ago, and for a while I thought that was it, that I'd never have a family again, that I'd just survive until I was old enough to survive better. He paused, gathering himself. But then I met Lily, and Ghost, and all the people at the club, and I learned that family isn't just blood. It's the people who choose you, who fight for you, who show up even when it's hard. He turned to face Ghost directly. You didn't have to take me in. You could have just said thank you and moved on. But you didn't. You saw me, really saw me, and you decided I was worth saving. I don't know how to thank you for that. I don't know if there are even words for it. Ghost's eyes were suspiciously bright. You don't have to thank me, kid. Yeah, I do. Because my mom asked me to be kind and you showed me that kindness comes back. Maybe not always. Maybe not the way you expect, but it comes back. Noah smiled. So thank you. For everything. For being my dad. The courtroom was silent. Then Lily started clapping. Loudly, enthusiastically. That was beautiful. Noah, you should write speeches. You'd be so good at it. The judge laughed, wiping her own eyes. Well, I think that settles it. By the power vested in me by the state of Minnesota, I hereby finalize the adoption of Noah David Carter by Victor Marcus Blackwood. Noah, from this moment forward, you are legally Noah Carter Blackwood. She banged her gavel. Lily screamed and launched herself at Noah, nearly knocking him over. Brother, official brother! Ghost pulled them both into a hug, his arms wrapping around his children, his family. Welcome home, son. Noah buried his face in Ghost's chest and cried. Not sad tears, not scared tears, happy tears, the kind he'd forgotten existed. Thanks, Dad. It was the first time he'd called Ghost that. It wouldn't be the last. 3 months after the adoption, Lily's 7th birthday arrived. The party was chaos in the best possible way. Steel wolves filled the backyard, their leather vests looking slightly ridiculous next to the pink streamers and princess balloons Lily had insisted on. Kids from school ran around screaming. Doc was managing the grill with military precision. Hammer was somehow losing an argument with a 6-year-old about whether ninjas could beat pirates. Noah stood at the edge of it all, watching. 1 year ago, he'd been sleeping in a church basement, wondering if he'd survive the winter. Now he had a home, a family, a father who showed up to every school event and glared at anyone who looked at Noah wrong, a sister who had appointed herself his personal protector and took the job way too seriously. You're doing that thing again. He turned. Pastor Wright stood beside him, looking healthier than Noah had ever seen him. Ghost had hired the old man to run a new homeless outreach program the club was funding. Steady work, good pay, meaningful purpose. What thing? Standing on the outside looking in, like you're not sure you belong. Noah shrugged. Old habits. You know what I see when I look at this party? I see a family that exists because a 9-year-old gave away his coat. Because he chose kindness when it cost him everything. You built this, Noah, whether you realize it or not. I didn't build anything. I just did what my mom would have wanted. That's exactly what I mean. Pastor Wright put a hand on Noah's shoulder. Your mother would be so proud of you. I hope you know that. Noah felt the familiar sting of tears. I miss her. Of course you do. You always will. But missing her doesn't mean you can't be happy. It doesn't mean you can't love your new family. Sarah would want you to live, Noah. Really live. Not just survive. Noah! Lily's voice cut through the party noise. Come help me open presents, I need moral support. Pastor Wright smiled. Go. Be a brother. Be happy. That's the best way to honor her memory. Noah hugged the old man quickly, then ran to join Lily at the present table. Finally, you take forever. Look, this one's from Hammer. It's probably something dangerous. Daddy said he's not allowed to buy me weapons, but Hammer never listens. It's definitely not a weapon, Hammer called from across the yard. It's an educational toy. That happens to be sharp. Ghost sighed. Hammer. What she needs to learn self-defense. She's growing up in a biker family. She's 7. Never too young for knife skills. Lily had already torn open the package. Inside was a pink tool kit, child-sized, but real. Tools? I got? Tools. This is the best present ever. See? Hammer looked smug. Educational. Noah helped Lily through the rest of her presents, art supplies from Doc, a chemistry set from Chains, that Ghost immediately confiscated books from Pastor Wright, and a hand-drawn card from Noah that made her cry happy tears. "It's us," she sniffled, holding up the drawing. "You drew our family. You're always drawing me stuff. I wanted to make something for you. It's beautiful. I'm putting it on my wall forever, right next to my bed, so it's the first thing I see every morning." Then came the cake. Chocolate with vanilla frosting. Lily's favorite, with 7 candles blazing on top. "Make a wish, baby girl," Ghost said. Lily closed her eyes tight, scrunched up her face in concentration, then opened her eyes and blew out every candle in one breath. "What did you wish for?" Noah asked. "Can't tell. Then it won't come true." "I think it already did," Ghost said quietly, looking at his 2 children, his strange and wonderful family. "I think it already did." The party wound down slowly. Kids were picked up by parents. Bikers gradually dispersed, though not before cleaning up every scrap of trash and leftover food. By sunset, it was just the 3 of them, Ghost, Lily, and Noah. They sat on the back porch, watching the stars come out. "I have something for you," Ghost said to Noah. "Wasn't sure when to give it to you, but now feels right." He handed Noah a small box. Inside was a ring. Simple silver band with an engraving on the inside. Family. "It was my father's," Ghost explained. "He gave it to me when I took over the club. Told me that leadership isn't about power. It's about protecting the people who depend on you. Being strong for them even when you feel weak. I'm not a leader. Not yet. But you will be. Whatever you choose to do with your life, you'll lead people. I can see it in you. The same thing your mother saw." Noah slipped the ring on. It was too big, but that didn't matter. "I'll grow into it." "You already have." Lily had fallen asleep against Noah's shoulder, exhausted from her birthday. Her breathing was slow and peaceful, her hand still clutching the drawing he'd made her. "Ghost. Yeah. Thank you for everything. For saving me." Ghost shook his head slowly. "You've got it backwards, kid. You saved us. Me and Lily both. We were surviving before you came, going through the motions. But you..." He paused, struggling with words that didn't come easily. "You reminded me what it means to fight for something. What it means to believe in people again. I just gave Lily my coat. No. You gave her hope. You gave me a son. You gave this whole family a reason to be better." Ghost's voice was thick with emotion. "Your mother did something right, Noah. She raised a boy who chooses kindness even when the world gives him every reason not to. That's rare. That's precious. And I'm grateful every single day that you walked into our lives." Noah leaned his head against Ghost's shoulder. Lily murmured in her sleep and snuggled closer. 3 people who had lost everything. 3 people who had found each other. A family. 10 years later, Noah stood at a podium. The auditorium was packed. Cameras flashed. Reporters scribbled notes. Behind him, a banner read, "Carter Foundation, 10th Anniversary Gala." At 19, Noah was barely recognizable as the skeletal boy who'd given away his coat in a blizzard. He stood tall, confident, wearing a suit that fit perfectly, and his mother's old coat displayed in a glass case behind him. 10 years ago, he began, I was 9 years old, homeless, and dying of hypothermia in an alley. I had nothing except a coat my mother gave me, and I'd just given that away to save a little girl I didn't know. The audience was silent. Today, the Carter Foundation has helped over 50,000 homeless children find shelter, food, and families. We've built 12 youth centers across the country. We've advocated for policy changes that have reformed the foster care system in 7 states. And we're just getting started. He paused, looking out at the crowd. I'm not telling you this to brag. I'm telling you this because every single one of those 50,000 children was me. alone, scared, invisible. And every single one of them deserved what I was lucky enough to find: someone who saw them, someone who fought for them, someone who chose them. In the front row, Ghost sat with Lily, now 16, and already planning to study law. Beside them was Pastor Wright, older but still sharp. And behind them, rows of steel wolves in their leather vests, looking slightly out of place at a black tie event, but refusing to miss Noah's big moment. My mother taught me that kindness is what makes us rich. She was right. But kindness isn't just about giving. It's about seeing. Really seeing the people around you, the ones everyone else ignores, the ones sleeping in basements and shelters and cars, the ones who have been failed by every system meant to protect them. Noah's voice strengthened. I was saved by a coat, by a little girl who held my hand when we were both freezing, by a father who chose me when he didn't have to, by a family that proved love isn't about blood, it's about showing up. Every day, even when it's hard. He looked directly at Ghost. Dad, stand up. Ghost shook his head, but Lily pulled him to his feet anyway. The audience applauded. This man found me dying in an alley and decided I was worth saving. He fought the system for me. He gave me his name. He taught me what it means to be strong, not through violence, but through protection, through love, through never giving up on the people who need you. Ghost's eyes were wet, though he'd deny it later. And that's what I'm asking all of you tonight. Don't give up. Don't look away. Don't tell yourself that one person can't make a difference, because I'm living proof that one person can. One coat, one choice, one act of kindness. That's all it takes to change everything. Noah raised his hand, showing the silver ring on his finger, the one Ghost had given him 10 years ago. It fit perfectly now. My name is Noah Carter Blackwood, and I was saved by a coat and a little girl's hand in mine. Now I'm asking you to help me save the next 50,000, the next 100,000. Every child who's ever been told they're nobody deserves to hear the truth. His voice rang through the auditorium. You matter. You are worth saving. And there are people in this world who will fight for you, I promise. The audience rose in a standing ovation. Noah stepped back from the podium, and Lily was there immediately, throwing her arms around him. That was amazing. You made Dad cry. I did not, Ghost said, clearly lying. You totally did. I saw it. Pastor Wright joined them, pulling Noah into a hug. Your mother would be so proud. I know. Noah smiled. I feel her every day, in every child we help, in every family we build. She's still here in everything we do. Later that night, after the gala ended and the cameras left, Noah stood alone in front of the glass case, holding his mother's coat. The patches were still there, the mismatched fabric at the elbows, the zipper that stuck halfway. All the imperfections that made it precious. I kept my promise, Mom, he whispered. I stayed kind. And look what happened. Look what kindness built. Ghost appeared beside him, silent, solid, present. You okay? Yeah, just remembering. You know, when I found you in that alley, I thought I was saving you, paying a debt. I had no idea you'd end up saving so many others. I learned from the best. Noah turned to face his father. Both my parents taught me what matters. Mom taught me to be kind. You taught me to be strong. Together, that's everything. Ghost pulled him into a hug. I love you, son. I love you too, Dad. They stood there, father and son, in front of a coat that had changed everything. Outside, the first snow of winter was falling, soft and gentle, covering the world in white. But inside, it was warm. Noah Carter Blackwood had spent one night cold, so a stranger could be warm. In return, he'd gained a family, a purpose, and a lifetime of warmth that no winter could ever take away. His mother had been right all along. Kindness was never wasted. Even when it cost you everything, it came back multiplied. And the boy who gave away his coat had become the man who made sure no child would ever have to choose between freezing and survival again. That was his legacy. That was his mother's legacy. And it would continue coat by coat, child by child, kindness by kindness forever.